Be careful which voice you listen to. Hello and welcome to Sober Living Snippets, where we live alcohol-free, or try our best, so we can heal our relationships, feel youthful again, and ditch regret and shame, and all those other negative emotions. Gals, I have a juicy one for you today. Cannot resist. Ever since the juicy January sobriety challenge, everything's juicy around here. Hello, I'm Becca Jacobson, and I have a snippet for you. If you're new here, welcome to Snippet Land. I'm so glad you found us. Today, I'm going to give you 3 ways to stop the voice in your head from talking you into doing something you don't want to do. That's long. That's a long title. I don't know what we'll shorten it. We'll figure it out as we go along. But you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. If it wasn't for that voice in our head, we wouldn't even drink against our will. And that's really what we struggle with, isn't it? Drinking against our will. Isn't that bizarre? To do something against your will. Like, hello, who's holding you down and pouring it down your throat? Nobody. And yet that's what it feels like, doesn't it? To be doing something against your will. Let me tell you something. That is living in hell. That is living in hell. It's called cognitive dissonance is another way of thinking about it, where we believe in one thing, we believe in being healthy and being clean and being present, and then we go and jump into a bottle. That is drinking against our will. It's an incredibly uncomfortable way to live. I lived in cognitive dissonance for over 3 decades. Honestly, all my life until I was 52, which means I was never really at peace. You're never really at peace. You may have some days where you feel better than others, and maybe you get a few days where you don't drink, but all in all, it's always there in the back of your mind, haunting you, not the alcohol, the dissonance, the idea that why do I do this when it's not what I even believe in? I don't even, truly, honestly, the better part of me doesn't even believe in pouring poison down my throat, and yet I do it. And the truth is, it's not just people who struggle with alcohol who suffer with this. Anyone who can't control their eating knows what we're talking about. And the list there goes on and on. I would say that probably all humans struggle with this on some level, just to varying degrees, right? But the thing is, when it's alcohol, it does massive damage. You know, if you eat too many donuts, you're going to feel sick and you're going to feel terrible, but you're not going to pass out under the kitchen table. Hopefully. You get my point. We do serious damage when we drink too much. You know, we hurt our relationships. We risk our jobs. Sometimes we drive our cars. How's that for risky behavior? So today I'm going to give you 3 ways you can derail that voice, because really it always starts with a voice, doesn't it? You're going along and you're like, okay, I'm not drinking. Okay, I got this. I'm not drinking. I got it. And then the situation of the day goes on. There's a little trigger, whatever. And the voice starts, well, you could. And then you're having an argument with yourself and you know you're going to lose that argument. When the argument starts, you know you're lost. I can't tell you how many times. For me, in the last 10 years or so of my drinking, it was on the drive home from work. I'd be at work. I was a college professor. I'm teaching my classes. I'm working in my office. I'm talking to students. I'm good, right? And then the day ends and I walk out of the building, across campus to the parking lot, towards my car, and suddenly it hits. Are you going to get home without stopping at the liquor store? And I had this battle every freaking day after work. No, drive straight home. Don't stop. Just drive straight home. Just eat dinner, go to sleep. Don't drive. Don't do it. And the car's pulling into the liquor store and the vodka's between my legs and I'm driving home while drinking it. That was me the last 10 years of my teaching. The years before that, I was still drinking, but it was a little, you know the story. It doesn't matter. But that was a very common occurrence for me. And it's that argument I'm talking about today. That argument we have with ourselves in our head, the argument about, am I going to pull into the liquor store? How come my car is now parked in the liquor store when I wasn't going to go to the liquor store? How come I'm paying for this bottle? I'm handing her my card and I wasn't going to buy. How did I get back to the car with a bottle in my hand when what happens? It's like we're kidnapped, drinking against our will. It's literally like somebody has grabbed us and we can't, sorry, I'm being kidnapped right now by a thought in my head. How's that for bizarre? But that's how it feels, doesn't it? And people who don't experience this, they just don't get it. They're like, just don't drink. Just don't do it. Well, my dears, if that was possible, we'd do it, wouldn't we? So what are 3 things? I've got 3 things to give you that you can try. I got to tell you, this is not an easy one. Because I'm like, what can I give them to help them win that battle when you're having the argument with yourself? What could we do? Now, let me tell you, I tried to think of things for years and I couldn't figure it out. The truth of the matter is, the real way to stop that voice is to stop drinking forever. Now, that sounded horrible, but don't forget, we don't stop forever. We intend to quit drinking and we do it in 24-hour compartments. But my point here is the real way to win that battle once and for all, so you never have it again, is to give up alcohol. Get the help you need and give it up. Because let me tell you what happens when you do that. That argument ends. At first, you think you're having the argument, but you resist it because you're supported and you've been shown how to resist it. And believe it or not, it does not take very long. That voice gets weaker and weaker and weaker. Why? Because it loses faith. It's like, well, I could try and talk her into getting a bottle, but she probably won't. Lately, she hasn't. I think I've lost control of this one. It's like there's this, right? And so it doesn't take long when we get into sobriety and into recovery that voice just gets feebler and feebler. But if it's alive in you, every time you fail to resist it, it gets stronger. And so it barely even has to try. It just says, yeah, you need a bottle. Trust me, dear. Trust me, you need some wine tonight. Let's not even argue. Let's just go to the liquor store and you're gone. So the voice seems really strong, but it's not as strong as you think. If you stop feeding it by giving in, it dies quite quickly. I'm talking within a couple of weeks. It might pop back up, and it varies by individual, but it does lose its power very quickly. The fact that you've been giving into it is what makes it seem so strong. If only I'd known that. You see, I thought I was going to live the rest of my life with that battle. And just having to battle every day. Well, here's another day where I have to somehow not drink, and it's just going to be a horrible feeling all day long, especially after work, right? But it is not like that. If you've never given up alcohol for any length of time, you don't know that. I didn't know that. That is not what recovery's like. It is not a daily battle. It's freedom. You win several battles, and ultimately you win the war. That's what happens. And when the war's over, it's over. The enemy is gone. You have won that war. It is so worth going into those first few battles so you can end the war once and for all. And that's what happens. So I realize I have veered off of my 3 things. I'll tell you why I'm hesitating. I turned on the microphone and I'm like, well, I can think of a few things you can try, but I have no faith in these things. I really don't. As far as I'm really, truly, honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you, the only solution is what I just said. You've got to get into recovery and decide you're done. That will end it. However, promise is a promise, right? So I'll give you 3 ways you can try to resist in the moment, but don't forget, if your intention isn't to quit for good, and if you're not being supported, winning 1 or 2 battles isn't going to get you anywhere, because sooner or later you're going to give in again and give the voice back its strength, and then you're just right back where you started. Do you see my point here? It's tricky. So the number 1 way to stop that voice is to have somebody else there. Have somebody else who knows what you're doing, that instead of arguing inside of your own head, you talk to someone else. And I want you to know that it's unfair and inappropriate to ask your partner to do that, or your best friend, or your sister. It's inappropriate and unfair, and they don't know how to do it. They will say yes because they love you, but they don't know how, and it's uncomfortable. It's like asking if you can borrow their underwear. I mean, come on. We just don't do it. Right? We just don't do it. But people try it. Honey, I'm going to give up the wine. I need you to support me. So when I want to drink, I need you to help talk me out of it. What the hell? That's not fair. Our partners can support us by maybe giving up as well. If they don't have a problem with alcohol, they could take a few weeks off of drinking. They can support us by not bringing home wine. They can support us by telling us they love us. That I'm with you, babe. You can do this. They can root for us. We always need that. But to ask them to lead us through recovery, but it really is asking too much because they don't know what to say and not only that, even more significant than that, you know what you'll end up doing? And you've probably done this before. You will end up not telling them because you know you want to drink. So let's say you've got your partner, they've agreed to help you, and then you're just like, oh my God, I need to have a glass of wine. So instead of going to your partner, you just go to the liquor store. So by the time you see your partner, you've already got the first glass of wine half gone, and he's just like, oh, here we go again. Or she or they are just like, here we go again. Okay, whatever. And they love you, so they're kind. They don't say anything. That was the story in my home. I tried to get my husband to help me, and he's like, okay, honey. And then when I was done and decided to drink, I didn't ask for his help. I just went and bought the bottle, and he would see, there I am having a drink. And he's so sweet that he just didn't say anything. He just, which was like humiliating to me, but that's what we do. Anyway, so the very first thing that you can do, the number one way to win the argument with a voice in your head, is to set yourself up with a support system, somebody external from your family and friends who knows exactly what they're doing, preferably someone who's been there. Number two is you can set yourself up with a support system, preferably someone who's been there. And number three, you can decide to go into recovery and set yourself up with a support system, preferably someone who's been there. Wait, did the recording repeat itself? No, gals. I'm sorry if I've disappointed you, but here's the naked truth. That's it. It's the only solution. If you turned on this episode thinking, oh, good, I can find a way to not drink Monday to Thursday, Becca will show me how to resist the voice for 4 days a week, then I can drink on the weekend because sorry, it doesn't work that way. That's all I got. But I did give you 3 ways. You got to admit, I said it a little different. Look, that's a fact. That's the way we do things here in Snippet Land. I'm not giving you fluff. You know what I could have said? I could have said, okay, when you get the urge and the argument starts, go and meditate, go swimming, jog, go to the gym. And you can try all those things. Actually, that might help once or twice, but it's just going to start all over again. It will never end. This argument in your head will never end until you're done, until you win the war. Those are just tiny battles. And here at the Snippets, I'm not here to help you win battles. I'm here to help you win the war because I want you to have the happiness and freedom that I'm experiencing, a happiness and freedom that I didn't even think was possible for almost all of my life. I've only been sober 7 years, and I'm almost 60. I know how you feel. Thanks for popping in, and I hope no one's mad at me, but that's what I got for you, kids. And by the way, I haven't forgotten that this week's theme is mottos, and today's motto that I would like you to think about all day long is, I will win the war. Got it? Write that in your journal. I will win the war, not the battle. Screw the battle. You're going to win the war. See you tomorrow. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back tomorrow so we can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.